Well, baby, you've been on my mind. I think about you all the time. Oh, I wanna see your face.
I know all the rights I made can't fix my wrongs. And now you're just a line in this damn song.
Perfect. We're live.
We're live.
Fantastic.
Dan, let me send these over to you before I forget. That's right. Nice. All right. Let's get his mic, get his speaker. Johnny Woods, everybody, is our guest. Before we do the cheers, this man drove in from Oklahoma. And so I'm very honored, and we'll get into our history, kind of how we met, how we know each other, your music, but how we start the show. Johnny, as we cheers.
Cheers.
And I
Cheers.
appreciate you sleeping around with Dr. Brandon and Matthew. What are we drinking? This is my first time I've had this, by the way.
Let me tell you about this. I got exposed to this at a ski mancation. Ski mancation.
And read the bottom. That's so cool.
The bottom?
Yeah, where it says, what's
Yep. So we're drinking Screwball.
Okay.
Peanut butter whiskey. To the Misfits, Black Sheep, and Screwballs.
Damn right.
Whiskey with natural flavors. It's a beautiful bottle, and it tastes like peanut butter.
It does.
And this is great in coffee.
Okay.
So if you go to ski mancation and you drink this late at night and then you get up in the morning and have your morning coffee, you could just put some in there.
What is, you said something earlier, we were outside talking, the mix.
Yeah.
Share
So,
that with the.
To go right into an ad line. If you're hungry in Austin, Texas, and like cheeseburgers,
Yes.
hamburgers,
Yes.
burgers of all sorts and shapes and kinds, Hop Dotties, that's Hop Dotties. You can go to Little Dotties too. Hop Dotties is there to please you.
Really?
South
What kind of place is
South
this?
Congress.
Oh, for food. Yeah.
Anderson Lane. I believe they have 3 locations, maybe 4. And what Hop Dotties does really good, besides burgers, and
Okay.
their burgers are delicious, they have garlic parm fries or
Okay.
Parmesan, some kind of Parmesan truffle fries.
Right.
And then they have sweet potato fries,
Okay.
and they're fantastic.
Right.
But they have shakes.
Okay.
And they come in these big glasses with whipped cream and flavors and goodness and sugar.
Uh-huh.
And the Nutella pretzel something shake is phenomenal. My kids love it. And what you can do is you can get an adult version of the shake, and they will add Screwball peanut butter whiskey to your Nutella chocolate peanut butter shake.
Wow.
And it's tasty.
So how long have you been on this diet?
So this diet's been going on. You might notice I'm in maintenance mode.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
good.
not up
You're
or
good.
down, really.
No, that's amazing. So actually, this is the first time I've had it. It's really good.
It tastes like peanut
Johnny had something else. Johnny, share your secret about gummy. Are they the good gummy bears or just gummy
No,
bears?
it's just regular gummy bears.
All right, scoot up on the mic, brother. Or you can bring the mic back. Yeah,
Cool, here we go.
Yeah,
We'll get this figured out one way or
that's
another.
right.
Gummy bears, and then take you a little bit of Screwball in a little mason jar, soak them in there, and about a week or 2, they're ready to go. It tastes like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Wow.
Fire.
Guys.
Fire.
Fantastic idea.
Okay.
And it's been a good show today. So thank you
Okay.
very much for coming
Yes.
on this show.
Yeah.
Johnny Woods coming with straight peanut butter whiskey.
Now,
knowledge.
I
What's
am
up,
going to
man?
modify that just a little bit and use my gummy bears.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they will taste like peanut butter and jelly in heaven.
And heaven.
Yes.
So, guys, I'm obviously I'm sporting my my Yukon hat, Grady 66 Pub.
Come on.
Johnny plays there a lot. So let's just, how do I know this guy? Everybody knows that I have musician friends. This is actually relatively new. I have a dear friend of mine for many, many years named Bryson. And he likes the same kind of music. We're both Sooner fans. We would go up and watch OU games. I love this guy to death. And he kept talking about his cousin, right? Cousin.
Yes.
And he kept saying, man, you got to listen. Little John, man, you got to, I'm going to play something for him with Little John. And me and Bryson would partake in drinking and fun. And he would always play these songs for me. And listen, I have a lot of my other friends always push musicians on me. They just do. And it's before the podcast even. And so towards the end, I would say probably about, what would you say, John, about 7 months ago, 6-7 months ago, I really started listening to it. I was like, wait a second. This kid's got something. So I reached out to my friends in Yukon, Oklahoma and said, hey, can you tell me about
this Little John. They're like, who's Little Johnny Woods? Oh, okay. Yeah, they go, man, he's good. He's legit. Writes his own stuff. He's been to Grady's. He got the okay from my buddies. And so I was up there for work and I said, hey man, you want to meet for lunch?
Yep.
And we met in Yukon and we sat down and just had lunch and got to know each other, wanted to know his vision, want to know what he sings about, what he's passionate about. And I'm a huge fan. And so
Appreciate that.
I've been wanting him on the podcast for quite a while. We made it work. And so he drove his ass all the way down to Austin, Texas to be
the
here.
wind, the wind blew me here.
The wind blew you in.
Yeah, that's right. Oklahoma.
So
the
I
wind
am,
comes sweeping me to Austin.
So I'm very, very grateful. He plays in Texas. He plays in Oklahoma. He plays everywhere. He's got a great story about Arkansas that I think I remember, and we're going to share that. But man, guys, this is an up and coming musician that we're so blessed to have now, because I believe in 1 year we won't have him on our podcast.
He'll be way too popular.
That's right.
For us.
That's right.
No.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. I gotta
man.
be honest, I don't know anything about you.
That's fair, man.
But after just warming up here, I'm pretty excited.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and after learning your recipe for the gummy bears,
That's worth something, right?
I'm even more excited. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're born and raised in Oklahoma?
Yeah, so born and raised in Oklahoma.
Whereabouts?
My dad was a preacher, so we moved around a lot. For anybody that knows about Baptist preachers, it seems like you go somewhere for 3 or 4 years and you're up and gone to the next town. So,
Yeah.
Knock the dust off your sandals.
Right. And so I was born in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and moved around a lot and ended up finally in Yukon, Oklahoma, which is Oklahoma City area. And I've lived there pretty much, my whole adult, later childhood life into adult life, and still live in that area today. So, I grew up and always loved music from the time I was probably 12 years old. And then was in church, did the whole worship music thing. And
so hold on real quick. There's such a common theme that we find with the musicians that have been on the show.
absolutely.
They grow up in church. They're part of worship, or
A lot of them.
It's funny that gets ingrained in you singing probably gospel, praise and worship.
Sure.
But then it kind of, you did that as a kid. Did you always have influences outside of, like, I know that there's popular Christian groups, and growing up in Baptist country, which I did as the lone Catholic in Yukon, I know that there's a big scene there, but did you have other influences outside of that?
Not till I was older. I was probably one of those kids that, to be honest with you, had, all the music that your parents didn't want you to listen to on a burned CD that said Stephen Curtis Chapman on it. It was like, you just hope that they didn't put it in. It's like, my neck, my back. No, Mom. Like, Mom, I swear I didn't know it was on there. Like, holy crap. But
so you like shit music. Okay,
yeah, exactly. No, I mean, so it took a little bit of time for me to really realize, I think, like, peers and your friends really kind of
listen, you grew up
those
in
things.
Yukon,
which is so cross Canadian ragweed. I will say, from my Aunt Donna, the first love for country music was probably, I was 7 or 8 years old. My Aunt Donna had a Chevy Astro van. I don't know if y'all, I'm sure y'all know what those are, but every time I asked it's like these college kids are like, a Chevy Astro van. I'm like, it was a big son of a bitch. Okay, it's like, It's beautiful. I free to talk on this thing?
You talk whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
You can't fucking say certain things.
So, but I remember sitting in the Chevy Astro van and thinking, like, man, I wish my parents had one of these things. Like, it was so awesome. But she plugged in, pushed in the old cassette tape, and the Thunder Roll came on.
There you go.
And so I spent a lot of time with her, and like, what a great song to memorize word for word when you're 7 years old, right?
It's kind of fair. Yeah, that's great. Comes in.
Yeah, sowing that seed right now. But so that was my first love for country music. And
so
then,
Garth, that's cool.
So, Garth.
Another Yukon.
Yeah. Boy from Yukon. So, that was kind of my start for, country. But then again, being a preacher's kid, we didn't really listen to a whole lot of that. And then once I got to, middle school, high school area, or that time frame, I was obviously listening to a lot of things like Cross Canadian Ragweed. I mean, we play Cross Canadian Ragweed song every show that we play, just to show respect to those guys. We either do this time
17.
around or 17.
17.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17 is like that was the first song that made me like it was like that was Red Dirt to me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and it's crazy, like, you know, I always wonder at the time, like when people write those songs, like, do you know that, like, I wonder if they ever thought that they were going to have an impact,
Cody, yeah,
like on people the way
Right.
that song did, you know, when you write it.
Yeah.
It's like, man, what a song.
it is. It is. And I think, you know, I've been blessed enough to spend time with Cody and
That's awesome.
Grady and all
man.
those guys. And I think, you know, they were so young, they didn't know, but they were just speaking from experience. And Cody is a genius and an amazing writer. But I don't think any of our musicians, even that we've had in here or that are my friends, you write for specific reason, whether
Sure.
it's influence. We talk to some that are national now that have set times and they write for other people. But, you know, throughout the years, just think, man, a song could hit and be amazing,
Yeah.
number one, and impact.
Yeah.
There could be some amazing songs right now that I listen to that nobody knows.
Nobody's
about.
ever heard.
That it's just,
Yeah.
but we had a musician in here last night and,
Oh,
my
that's
God.
powerful.
and if I said his name, people are like, oh, who's this guy? But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So there's so many gifts. So you're doing the Bible Belt thing. And guys, I'm going to probably talk a lot because I know the area. So getting to middle school, I think we all kind of find ourselves in middle school. You
Absolutely.
elementary school, no matter what your denomination or belief, you're all little kids. And then at least when I did there at IMS, you know, we all blended together. So all the elementary schools come together
Right.
and you're meeting new people. It's kind of the first time you get to kind of step out
Yeah.
from maybe a clique or
Yeah.
your old group. So you got introduced to different types of music there.
Sure. Though, I mean, really at that point in time, I think it was a lot of like pop punk, like, you know,
Did it all for the nookie.
yeah.
What?
I was about to say,
Nookie.
Fred Durst, like
Limp Bizkit.
hot dog flavored water, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, come
Yeah.
on with it. I mean, that's
Mhm.
what we listened to, you know,
Right.
in middle school, you know, and then
Yeah.
you get to high school and you always want to be that kid that finds that new artist or
Sure.
that, you know, it was back then it was Breaking Benjamin was like
Right.
a new rock band that
Right.
had came out and like they were a love of mine, you know, Taking Back Sunday from like the emo, you know, that phase there.
How young are you? Just so I can-
34.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, Dan's shaking his head. And in fact, I know these bands too,
Yeah.
just because I'm
Yeah.
more like, I love that scene
Yes.
and what came out of the grunge. Like, I love all those alt bands that came out of that.
Yeah.
So that's getting through your high school. But man, I'm telling you, living where you live, there still had to be an influence. It's almost like this duality, right?
Sure. And that's, yeah.
Well, I think
you're
kids go
exactly
through
right.
an angry time. Like a lot of kids. Maybe that was just me.
No, sure. No,
No, but like I think a lot of kids go through that high school, middle school, going into high school kind of, I don't, you know, so I don't know. Were you listening to like Rage Against the Machine and Beastie Boys and
a little before
you know,
him, but
that's
No, I'm-
probably maybe, but that, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like that kind of,
I agree. But like from my own experience, I loved Garth Brooks' Fences,
yeah.
but I love Pantera's, you know, Mouth of,
I think it's a
Vulgar
Pantera.
Display.
It's a very lightweight device.
Pantera is one of the greatest, greatest heavy metal.
Super thin.
But no,
lightweight.
I liked them both. I loved Metallica, Kill 'Em All, but at the same time, I liked Elton John stuff. So I
Yeah.
think you could just have taste. But for you specifically, Johnny, when did you kind of find your thing in music?
I would probably say around my freshman to sophomore year in high school.
Okay.
Because I think that at that point in time, you're kind of at that age, I feel like you're able to balance angry and sad like emotions. Whereas an adult, I feel like everything is just always angry, you know? And
Mhm.
so with that, you know, all those influences come into the whole, you know, for me, the Red Dirt situation, you know, the Randy Rogers.
There you
And
go.
that was my very first Red Dirt concert in Southwestern Oklahoma State University.
Not a bad one to go to,
Yeah.
Rutherford there.
You know, and then Casey Donahue there at JC Cowboys. And, you know, from there, you know, I don't want to say I had a vision of like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But it was like, man,
That's fucking cool.
It was really cool to see that they were able to take a moment in time, and no matter like if you were there, if you'd had a shitty week or a shitty day, it didn't matter. Like you were having a damn good time at that moment.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was the moment that captured me as an artist. It's like, well, it takes a lot to, you know, willpower and a gift to be able to, change that atmosphere wherever you're at.
Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday, as a matter of fact. I had a rough day yesterday, and
Yep.
just coming and sitting here and having music
Mhm.
right here, listening to the song, watching the guitar, like it's uplifting and it's
Yeah.
impactful to people. And I think that's why I love music so much. So at that point in time, were you already
Playing guitar,
playing an instrument?
Mhm.
Were you already
Okay.
like singing, songwriting, dabbling? Where were you at as far as your musical?
I hadn't started necessarily songwriting that was worth it of any type of quality, but I was playing guitar. I was playing drums at the time. Music was something like I couldn't go to sleep without it.
Right.
And still to
Yeah.
this day,
Right.
there's some people that are like, yeah, I just don't listen to anything. And I'm
Now-
like,
Yeah, I'm saying
We've talked about this because you're from UConn,
Mhm.
and we met some other people from UConn,
Mhm.
and a lot of cool people from UConn.
Jason Breed came on.
mhm.
Yeah.
But it seems like if you're in UConn, Oklahoma, and you played the guitar and sang and all that, you were kind of a cool kid.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But like a lot of other places on this earth,
He's really
backwards.
serious.
It's like a backwards. Like where I went to high school, like you weren't really cool if you played music. Like you were if you were like in the band or played music, or like you weren't one of the cool kids. You were kind of one of the outcasts. And it seems like this backwards world in UConn.
I'm telling you, musicals, choir, vocal, definitely playing music on the weekends. Our buddies would play at parties.
Yeah.
And it was, a lot of farmland out there.
Yeah.
Probably the history. I mean, Garth Brooks hit it right around the time I was in high school.
Mhm.
So if you think about the foundation, and then Cross Canadian Ragweed took it to another level,
Yeah.
brought it to younger, and
Yeah.
said, man, we could do this too. But Oklahoma in itself, I mean, Blake Shelton, Vince Gill, Reba McEntire, I mean, it was just the vibe. And for someone who couldn't sing or couldn't play music, I looked at those dudes, the athlete that did all this stuff.
Yeah.
I looked at those guys, the cool
Like,
dudes.
oh, they're so cool.
Oh, hell yeah. God's
So
honest
were you
truth.
popular in high school?
Uh,
Was this like, were you like,
I was like I guess I would say that I was like the unpopular popular kid, if that makes any sense at all. I mean, I really did. I tried to
Everybody
get along.
knew you.
I mean,
Nobody likes you.
yeah, well, yeah. It's like,
That was my life.
hey, shut over there. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wasn't in necessarily a clique. Like I played sports, I played baseball, so I
Yeah.
hung out with some of the jocks.
Yeah.
Some of them were douchebags, some of them weren't.
Yeah, as baseball players,
and
we
it's
are
like,
douchebags.
but it's just like, I hung out with the people that did choir, band.
Yeah.
The class clowns,
Mhm.
the druggies.
Yeah.
There was always somebody in a clique that I got along with. It was like, hey, what's up, man? Like, what are we doing this weekend? Or what are y'all?
Yeah.
I'm just a people person. So, it was kind of like, I feel like in life, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could save a baby from drowning and someone's still going to think you're an asshole.
Well,
You
I
know,
think
and-
I will say it's Johnny. So there's a lot of similarities between me and you in that aspect. I would tell you that, was I popular in high school? Sure. But one of my best friends was the valedictorian of the school the year before.
Sure.
He, was an amazing student. Stoney's his name. Graduated Notre Dame 3 years. He's just a brain, but it was also Kyle Carter, and we all ran together. And so I think that I was like you. I didn't, even though I played baseball, I just didn't hang out with baseball guys. I liked just to mix it up. I didn't want to be tied in to one group or
Sure.
another or labeled. Even
Did you hang
at
out with
that age.
like older people?
Always.
See, that's
Because I
was me
always
too.
played sports up, but also I had a fake ID it wasn't fake. I had a real ID. But I would go to
It wasn't
bars
yours.
and my mom was cool with it. She's like, as long as you don't be stupid. But I always related because I didn't want to be in high school anymore.
Mm.
I didn't
So
want to
true.
be in high school. Ryan said this last night. I
Yeah.
always wanted to be
who
older.
wants to grow up?
I always wanted to be older. In fact, you wrote a hell of a song about it. I always wanted to be older. And so maybe that held me back too. Cause I kind of look at people my own age going, well, I'll still do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a little bit of it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of my friends when I was, freshman, sophomore in high school, I wanted to be around the seniors.
Yeah.
I wanted to do what they were doing.
And that's a shout out to Sarah Knight. Thank you for inviting me to prom as a sophomore nerd.
No
and
kidding.
you were the prom queen, you fine woman.
Fine woman.
Dr. Knight now. Sorry.
I dated a senior every year of high school.
How old are you? That's weird.
That's a legit comment right there.
Wait, how old are you right now? That's weird. Oh, you mean when you were in high school?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When I was in high school.
So freshman you dated
Freshman year
senior.
dated a senior. Sophomore year dated a senior. They all left me. They all.
Oh, I thought it was the same girl that kept fucking. She wasn't that bright. She was in the special bus.
She got
Are we
held
allowed
back
to say
4
that?
times.
Are we allowed to say that? Did she have all of her teeth? Is that why you became a dentist?
No, well, I just want to
pretty
help
cool,
somebody.
So we need to bring it back in. Sorry, John. We do this a lot.
No, I enjoy it.
I think so. Your identity, hell, we all look back. What was our true identity? But would you say that you kind of seen that concert with Randy over there at Southwest and Weatherford? You're like, shit, this is what I want to do.
No, not
Oh,
at that
wow.
point, not
Okay.
at that time.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I mean, I always loved music, but it wasn't something like I want to do that because I was always in at that point in time. I mean, I was more or less a little bit probably insecure. Like
Mhm.
maybe I didn't have the talent that other people, had, or maybe,
Right.
maybe my vocals weren't that great.
Mhm.
And so that kind of, knocked me back down. It didn't keep me from playing. I mean, I played every single night, and I didn't really start writing music until I was in my mid-20s.
So shit. So you saw yourself as part of the band, but not leading the band. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, probably so.
Or you just did it for fun? This is what
Honest to God, I did it for fun. I mean, I loved leading worship. Like,
yeah.
it was something that, at that time, I had been going, to Falls Creek church camps. And so
That's a very, very, very big camp,
Yeah.
guys. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a huge Southern Baptist
Yep.
camp. And so I would see these worship leaders
Mhm.
and if anything, I was kind of
wanting to be that.
drawn to that more than just a red dirt artist. And then,
Yeah.
you get out of high school and you get a job and, have a family. And
So was that your path? Like
Yeah.
when you left high school, did you
Well,
go to
I-
school or did you go
I
straight to work?
went to college for 2 years and screwed off, and then or not 2 years, 2 semesters, and didn't really do much. It just wasn't for me, and so
Mhm.
I went to work in the oil field
Yeah.
right out of that first year.
Where'd you go to college at?
Oklahoma State University, OKC.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gotta
yeah.
throw that in there.
No. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you went to OSU.
Yeah.
OKC.
Okay, see.
No, but I get it. I
Yeah.
get
So that, I mean,
it's not for everybody, man.
I didn't have the grades or the scholarship to go
Right.
to a major university. And
Sure.
I think my parents knew that I didn't necessarily have the school discipline
Mm-hmm.
to go to a major university. And so,
Well, Johnny, just so you know, I think, and maybe your generation was the last one. I love it now that, at least my generation, you had to go to school. Like you
Mhm.
got to go to college.
Yeah.
And there were so many immature people. Hell, I don't think I would have done so well if I wasn't on scholarship and forced to go to class. And I'm being serious. I
Mhm.
wasn't mature enough to have all that freedom. But it seems like nowadays, at least what I'm seeing is it's okay to go to the services. It's okay to go get a job for a while. It's okay to kind of figure out something before you just go straight to school just to go.
Well, I think we're opening up to the idea or the realization that college has gotten really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So
And so
expensive,
a
man.
lot of degrees now
That's a good
maybe don't necessarily, when you look at the investment or the cost of going to college and getting the degree,
Yep.
and you truly evaluate what the potential return is
Yeah.
on that investment, in a lot of cases, it's not there.
Hey, if I didn't pay, I had a scholarship. My undergrad's psychology.
Yeah. No,
I mean, And I'm not knocking anybody who's doing that, but in order, if my parents would have paid for my college, my first job offer out of that would have been, back in those days, equivalent now to maybe 24,000 now. 24,000. So I had to get a master, had to do,
yeah. So there's a lot of things out there now, and especially this day and age with the technology and, there's still so many things that you can do that you don't really
and
need
they're
a degree.
and they're getting back into more of the welding, more. I mean, I love that
Trade.
the trades.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
Yeah, I
for.
think now it's just more or less looking at the economics and looking at your return on your investment.
ROI. Yep.
I mean, obviously, if you're going to go be a doctor or a dentist, like we want people to go to school to learn how to operate on
Yeah.
teeth or whatever. But
Right.
if it's
What I do.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
or
I didn't
anything,
need all
it's
that.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me, it's you got $150,000 worth of student loans to pay off.
Yeah.
Well, how long is that going to take?
And
you're making-
anymore, I will tell you, people don't become doctors anymore for the money because it's not there. It's
It's
like
not.
what it costs to go to medical school, dental school, 4-year undergrad before that and all that. It's become just outrageous.
Yeah.
And the, it's not like the returns it's not like you make more money.
Right.
So,
Now, did you leave home when you went to OSU OKC, or did you stay home?
Bro, yes.
Okay,
I mean,
so you had a little bit of freedom.
As soon as I graduated high school, I shit you not, I took off down Northwest. I lived in a little community called Surrey Hills, which is a golf course, right outside of Yukon, off Highway 3 in Oklahoma City. And I took off down Highway 3, and I hit Council Road, which is 2-3 miles from the turnoff where I lived. Saw an apartment complex, turned that bitch in on 2 wheels, and signed my first lease. I mean, like it was.
Were you working at the time, or no? You were going to school. Okay.
I mean, I still had I was working. I think that at that point in time, I was working at Mardell's warehouse, like just stocking, pulling inventory and things like that. And then I worked for a restaurant as a waiter for 3 or 4 months.
Was music in there at all? Were you doing any kind of gigs behind the scenes, or no?
Every once in a while, like I would have people that would be like, "Hey man, you want to come play?" Or,
Right.
and I would do that every once in a while.
Okay.
So that was kind of something that I did for a little bit. Like, I mean, I always played music.
So it sounds like the journey I'm sorry.
go ahead.
It sounds like the journey led you, you did those, those 2 semesters of having fun, living in an apartment, trying the college thing. You said you went to the oil field. I know this for a fact, someone who worked in chemical sales for oil field, my dad being 42 years in oil field. Did you even have time to play?
That's what I was going to say. Oil field's usually pretty long hours, hard work.
Yeah.
Always made time. I'm a firm believer in, like, you always make time for the things that you love to
That's
do.
true.
And
That's true.
so I always made time to, I don't go anywhere without my guitar, and didn't from the time I was, probably 16 years old.
Wow.
And so I still function on very little sleep.
Oh, we'll
Even-
get there. We'll talk about this.
Still to this day. And, it's just something that I always made time to do. So whenever I would be working,
it's like you have to do it.
yes,
It's like I have to do this.
Yes.
Okay. So you're in the oil fields. You're playing a little. So now we're getting up there. Meaning you're 20 something. You said you didn't write your first song until you were 20 something.
yeah, I was probably 25 years old
Oh wow.
when I wrote the very first, song that I thought was
That you could
exceptional.
present to.
Yeah, that I could say, okay, like this is something,
Right.
And I've always been a person of words. I've always thought of things, my mind has always operated on a play off of words or, or different things like that. So, and at the time when I was 25, I was working for a company, a really big major company as a completions consultant. I was very fortunate. I had an older gentleman that took a chance on me that I worked for a couple of years, and he gave me a chance to be a consultant. I was probably one of the youngest consultants in the nation.
Yeah. When you told me that at
And-
lunch when we met, I went, wait a second, how old were you?
I mean,
Because again, I dealt with that side of the chemical side.
and
So,
I'm not necessarily a material. I like nice things, but I don't talk about but I was doing very well for myself. At a
Brandon
young
likes to talk
age.
about all the stuff he has.
Yeah.
So it's opposite
And-
of
So it just I enjoyed doing that,
right.
but I would be working in a place in a trailer. We'd have our
Yep.
own trailer house where we'd work 12, 13-hour shifts
Yep.
a day. And I may do a hitch that was,
70.
80 days,
Yep.
80 days long straight.
Essentially 70. Yeah.
And then I might get 3 weeks off. But at night time when I was on, my shift, I liked working nights, which that's what they put me on. Not a ton happened then, but like when I would have my free time during the day or in the night, I would just play my guitar. And it was at that point in time, I was like, man, I think I could write something. Because I had all this time. I was away from home. I was away from.
And were
my
you married at
family.
the time?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So you had.
I was married, had 2 kids. Like,
Damn.
I mean, I was gone a lot.
Mhm.
I've been gone a lot. My whole. I mean, I missed the first 5 wedding anniversaries.
Mhm. Damn, you got married young, brother.
Yeah, we got married really young. She was high school sweetheart,
Uh-huh.
and but it just, you know, it worked for us. I mean,
Sure.
that's what was our life.
Right.
You know, and at that time, like music wasn't, I was like, man, I'm
God, it sounds like
making
you
money.
settled into life. You're like,
Yeah,
I
I
got
was-
a job, I got a family.
I had everything going
This is
for
my
me,
lot in
and-
life. Mhm.
And so then I wrote Last Glass of Whiskey, which is on the EP that I released back in February
Yeah.
of 2021. And then I wrote a song about some fallen here. I wrote that song, Last Glass of Whiskey. I had a friend that had lost his family to being an alcoholic.
Mhm.
And he just spoke to me through his story, and I just wrote a song about it.
You know what? Why don't you play it for us?
Yeah.
Dan set them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was at the time sitting there, and I'd been working with this guy.
This guy out in the oil field, I'm sure, right?
So yeah, I was working with this guy at the time, and we got to talking and talking about life and everything, and he was telling me his story, and it just really, you know, and it really intrigued me, and so I wrote this song. It's called Last Glass of Whiskey. That black label is cocked and loaded by my side. A half glass of whiskey, will it get me through tonight? She left a trail, only God knows I can tell. She ain't never coming back. An ocean of whiskey come ease my troubled mind. You and I both know right now it ain't worth trying to get her back, to make her see that I need her more than this last glass of whiskey. Last of this bottle is gone and made its way through me. And I'm ashamed of all the change I couldn't see. Tonight's the night I think I'll choose to lay me down, 'cause she ain't coming back around. An ocean of whiskey come ease my troubled mind. You and I both know right now it ain't worth trying to get her back, to make her see that I need her more than this last glass of whiskey. The things I've said and done have made her turn away from me. My only prayer right now is, God, somehow you make her see an ocean of whiskey come ease my troubled mind. You and I both know right now it ain't worth trying to get her back, to make her see that I need her more than this last glass of whiskey. The last glass of whiskey.
Heck yeah,
Beautiful.
man. God.
Yeah.
So that was the first song?
That was the very first song.
God dang, right out of the bat, huh?
Um,
Jeez.
and I had to pick this
Yeah.
bad boy back up. You know, and at the time, I thought it was good, you know, but I didn't know
That's good.
what other people
That's good.
would think, you know, at the time. So, I mean, as an artist, you know, begin to learn that there's some things that you think are really good and you think you're going to be like awesome to people, and like it gets overlooked. And then there's things that you write that are like, it's the dumbest damn song I've ever written in my life. And people are like, dude, I love that song. I'm like, yeah, really? But it's, I mean, but to each their own. I mean,
yeah. So what year was that you wrote that?
That would have been 2013 or so.
Wow.
2014, probably.
But you said you didn't release it till, what'd you say?
I didn't release it until I didn't record it until 2020 or 2021.
That's crazy, dude. So you sat on, I'm sure you played it, but.
Oh, yeah.
But not even putting it down till.
I still have the original video that after I like recorded it and set, you know, and set my old iPhone up and recorded it at my house. And like, I'll always keep that. And I don't keep a whole lot of stuff, but for some reason, like that video, I always go back, think like, what was going through your mind?
So it sounds like you write this song, you let your buddies hear it, or people you trust, your wife and other, you know, people that be serious with you. And you go, well, shit, man, maybe I can do this. Maybe there's something else besides the oil field. Did that happen?
Well, yeah. I mean, at first they were like, you didn't write that, you know? I mean, and I'm like, I swear I did, you know? And so it made me want to write another one. So I wrote another one, you know, 2 days later about, you know, a soldier, and I'm still sitting on that one. It's a special song to me too, as well. But, and it was at that point in time, you know, once people heard it that did know me, that weren't family or, you know, close friends, they're like, man, that's a great song.
Yeah. They had nothing in it for they don't know you. They're not trying to gain favor. They just like the song.
I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe so. And at that point in time, so I had two songs in, and then I had a really, really rough patch, you know, in my life. You know, lost, you know, 2016, in January 2016, I've been working for this major oil company, and I lost my job. And I didn't have a job for like 6 months, man. And I know that there's people out there that are like, well, I didn't have a job for 2 years, but you know, for me, like, that was experience. You know, I was at the bottom of this barrel, you know, and so music was at that time the last thing on my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would be therapy or
like, thinking back on it now, I'm like, why didn't you?
Well, no, everything happens for a reason.
You know?
Well, leading up to that, were you obviously you had full-time job, you were working, you were making money, you still love music, you were still playing music. Were you performing?
No.
At all?
I didn't have time.
Okay, so this was just music was still just your passion.
Yeah.
At night when you're on your own, you and your guitar are hanging out, and it's your own kind of thing, but it's not being shared really.
It wasn't
in terms of performance or with other people.
No, not at all. It was just it was a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't like, man, I think I could do this, because I had a great job, and I'm like, well, I don't want to start over, you know? So it was never really a thing for me.
So in those 6 months, you're saying you didn't play?
I didn't play at all.
Wow.
I was so mad. Like, I was just furious, you know, because you go from having everything and anything you want, you know, going on vacation and
take care of the family. Yeah.
Like, people are like, money can't buy happiness. Bullshit. It can.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, I know that it does bring a lot of problems.
Sure.
And I was, you know, firsthand experience those things.
Right.
But, and it's one of those things, man, I'll probably never get to experience again, more than likely. But swiping your credit card or your bank card, and not having to worry about, like, are the funds in there?
Yeah.
Or, like, what do I have left?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, now it's like
gambling. Roll the dice. Here we go.
I need to go to Walmart, but I got $47 in my account.
Yeah. It's,
you know?
It's funny. You know, when you think, you know, you've made it or you haven't made it, or
Or you're not thinking about it.
Or you're not thinking about it. What does that mean? Like to make it, and some people have this idea of success and a vacation home.
Dan and I,
like
Key West,
the nice car,
home
whatever
place.
the case is.
Right, Dan?
But you bring up like when I realized, and this was very interesting to me, because I would go, my family didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, and especially when I was younger. And I remember going to the grocery store with mom, and she'd have all her coupons, and she'd give me the calculator, and we'd literally go through our list and go through the store, and we'd have to like nickel and dime, find the deals, find the coupon that worked, that's on sale. Okay, let's replace that because it's, and we had our budget. And, I remember multiple times getting to the checkout, and it rings up and we miscalculated something.
Put something
and
back.
I had to put something back.
Dude, that's a heartbreak.
Or and then of course it's like, what goes back? I'm a kid. And so if there happened to be any one thing like that, like a cereal that I wanted or something, like that was going back because we were going to get the ground beef or, the vegetables or whatever, even though they were canned. I fucking hate canned vegetables to this day. And so like, I remember this, or like, maybe the embarrassment of the person behind you being like, okay, we'll just cover that, and helping you out or something like that. And so for me, like when I really felt like I made it was when I could go to the grocery store and like you said, I just get what's on my list and just swipe it, and you don't have to worry about it. And it's like, that's like a little thing in life, like to like when you kind of think about it, but like that really was like, and this was like a couple years into like after dental school, like paying off loans and, that kind of stuff. And still, and that's one of the things that I'm grateful for, like still to this day. Like when I think about what am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I can just buy the groceries that I need. Because, and I think that was like my experience, but you're exactly right. Like you take that for granted.
You do.
That's what I was going to say.
And even like as kids, it was crazy to me. Like I think us talking to my mom the other day, I was like, I'll always see you as like how I saw you when I was like a freshman in high school, or 8th grade, and growing up, like my parents didn't have a whole lot of money.
Preachers
preachers didn't make a lot of money, but the thing is, like the one thing that I remember, and I've kind of applied this to my music career now, is, man, I had no idea that we were like poor.
Yeah.
It's like, we always had everything, in my opinion, like my parents always what we needed. And it was like, I had a ball glove and a dad that played catch with me, and mom would help me with my homework and things like that. And for me, it was like, dude, I didn't have any clue that they had all these problems behind these closed doors. Right. And at the time, I'm sure they thought like, man, like we want to give our kids that. And as a parent, you feel as a parent, and like, you feel like a failure almost, because you're like, you don't want them to see you as a failure.
Right. And
I've thought about that, and like in my music career, as like the people that remember me when I had 350 Spotify listeners, like those are the right people in my life.
Right.
Like they matter to me. Like they've invested in me. They
were there from the start.
From the start.
Right.
The day I write a song for the next biggest artist, or quote unquote make it and have 1 million monthly Spotify listeners.
Right.
Dude, the people don't care about when you had 500. They care about like what you're doing right now. Like what is current? Right. Because like when you look at your past, if you look at it too long, you get stuck there, and it's and it's hard not to get to that point.
Right.
Sometimes when you're being beat down, like in this industry,
Well, and I'll tell you something, Johnny. I think, and I'm always the half full guy, but there's a reason that it happened, right? I don't believe in coincidence, and so during that 6 month, as hell as it was, and I do believe you, there was something that manifested from those 6 months, that the reason you're here today, meaning physically here today, or where you're at in this new path you're on, were there some lessons where you were able to look back and go, okay, I get this now? Because the next time you get laid off or have an issue or have something, it's a learned behavior. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so even though looking back and getting stuck there, but also looking back and going, okay, I'm going to learn from this. Next time I'm picking up my fucking guitar and I'm going to write and I'm going to spend more time with my kid or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know your personal life, but so there had to be that. So during that 6-month period, it sounds like the only time since you were young that you didn't play.
Yeah, it really was.
So what pulled you out?
So I'll never forget. I was literally getting ready to go. Oh, sorry, buddy. I was getting ready to go to freaking Home Depot and drive a forklift. I was picking up oddball jobs here and there and doing those things. And I remember, I had a new truck. My wife had a new vehicle. We still lived in the same house that we built, when we got married. And, I'd saved up enough money that, I didn't have to sell anything. Didn't have to necessarily make any changes besides, maybe, cable or, picking a lesser plan on your cell phone bill or whatever. But it's like, I had all that. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I've got 2 weeks.
Wow. Left.
Before I have to start selling stuff.
Yeah.
And I got a job like within that 2 weeks. Well, it was, so I was making okay. I, still work there today, actually. Yeah. And so it's, at the time, it's like, man, I had to make this big life change. I had to remember what a freaking budget was.
Yeah.
And so it was at that point in time, I was like, okay, I'm grateful. I need to be grateful that I've got a job now and that I'm working and that I can make my payments on things. And so I started kind of, picking up and playing guitar again at that point in time in my life.
Pride's a crazy thing with men, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrible.
It's funny to me. I can look back and I'm just as prideful as anybody, I'm sure. But looking back is like, well, I need to do that. Or, and I have a buddy of mine and won't say his name, but he's been out of work for a long time. Mm-hmm. There's a reason he's out of work for a long time. There's been awesome opportunities, there's been things, but it never in his prideful mind met to that standard, to the sacrifice of a marriage, to the sacrifice of time, to sacrifice of whatever. And it's funny, if you were to look back at that self now, would you have gotten a job faster? Probably. If you could give yourself advice from that guy now, yeah, but you had to live it. Right. And so that experience of going without or having depression or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Marital problems or, hell, Brandon and I, we're both divorced. Right. But then as an artist where Brandon and I aren't that, there had to be some kind of inspiration that came from that 6 months, I'm sure, in your music writing.
Yeah, there definitely was. I mean, I don't write happy songs a whole lot of the time. Yeah. So pain, brings out the best. That's why I'm like, anytime I see an artist that I'm like, gosh, dude, I love their material. Mm-hmm. And every freaking time they get married or get a girlfriend or have a kid, it's like the next album they put out is complete shit. I'm like,
it's like
It's
like Rory.
It's a great.
When Rory got married, his golf game went to hell.
Yeah,
that's so funny. I mean, Tiger's opposite. When he stopped screwing strippers and porn stars,
golfing went to hell.
But it's funny. Dan, your face did that. What was that about?
I just started thinking. I hope Nicky James very much luck.
Yeah. Well, he's happy right now. He's very happy. So no, you're right. I mean, I will say this because I would sound like a hypocrite if I didn't. It was really refreshing to have Brian Sutherland on our podcast and to listen to his music. The scene I run in, and a lot of the Red Dirt stuff it's sad. And I like being in that melancholy space, but Brian was so hopeful in like his songs. And so I even asked him during the podcast, I was like, man, I'm not used to hearing like uplifting music. Were you in a great space in your life? And just kind of how he described it, but I'm with you. I don't know if Phil from Pantera ever had a good moment apparently, but that's cool. And I love Slipknot, that. So a lot of my stuff's dark. But was there something, so there was not a lesson learned. I'm sure there was that, but an inspiration that came out of that 6 months. Just I got to get my ass to work.
Honestly, you know, I think the biggest thing that came out of that whole deal that I've carried on through this time of my life is conditions are never right. Like in anything that you're, you know, before you get married, you're like, I need to wait till I have enough money or have the right job. Then you get married. Then you realize you're like, shit, we didn't have the money to get married. And then you're like, we're going to have a kid, but we need to wait. We got to wait until like we can afford. But then you have you have a oopsie and you're like, so the conditions in life are never line up for your fate.
Yeah.
Or if you're always waiting for the right moment, you're just going to keep waiting forever.
Exactly. And so with conditions, the condition is like, there's never the right time to chase a dream.
Right.
There's never a right time to go after something. Now, I do believe that like everything happens for a reason, for timing issue, whether it be your confidence or whether you just grow into that career or whatever, but your conditions are never right. And so it's when you feel the need to move, like get on it, like quit waiting.
It's good that you're getting that at your age. Cause the last 2 years have gotten to the point where, and my closest friends know this about me. If I'm not having fun, if I'm not enjoying, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Includes work, personal, whatever. If it's not serving me, serving my daughter, serving me in certain way, selfishly, I'm good. I don't have time. Right. So what I've learned is what I'm putting my effort and my ability and time into is mine.
Yeah.
And I don't have to sit through bullshit anymore. I don't have to sit through fluff anymore. I've done that. I'm at a point in my life, not arrogantly, I've worked my ass off to get to this point in my life and build enough credibility to where I can make these choices. If I don't want to do that, I'm not going to do it, and nothing breaking the law, nothing. It's just, but having that, I never called it conditions, but I like that. I'm going to steal that. Yeah. Because I think I've done that without thinking about it. I said, I got these conditions. I mean, I do this all the time. Like Key West, I was having a good time. And when I went, go back and go to sleep. They're like, dude, it's 9:30 on Key West. I go, but I
got to be ready for tomorrow.
Or it's just, I'm done, So you come out of that, right? You get this job that's still today. When you smiled, I liked it when you did that. It was good. So when did it then we're coming up on your age now, brother. Yeah. So this all, and I kind of know this answer. I'm setting this up on a T form. So when did all this just come together and say, boom, this is what I'm doing. This is where it's at. And I love the story about, it's Little Rock, right? Was it Little Rock?
Fort Smith,
Arkansas.
Northwest Arkansas.
So,
tell the story.
So
I love this.
We, COVID is in full swing.
We don't have that down here in Texas.
Right.
Oklahoma, y'all damn sure didn't have. Y'all had a governor that was, by the way, that and South Dakota were the only ones that said, don't wear masks. Yeah. Don't wear a mask. Do not wear a mask.
We love you, Stit. But, COVID was, So
forgot about that.
COVID was like full swing of things. And at this point in time, which I think for me, COVID was a good thing for me.
Sure.
And like even my family, because like no one had anywhere to be.
Yeah.
Like you were forced to play Monopoly. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like you were forced to do those things. And so
you look across the room and you're like, you like these people. That's cool.
Exactly.
A lot of people looked across the room and went, oh, no,
yeah. And so I started writing again for the first time since this was like 7 more years down the road from when I wrote the first 2 songs. And I was going through some family stuff and I wrote this song, Hurricane. And
that's the first song I ever heard by you, by the way.
Yeah. And so I wrote this song and I showed it to some friends and like, bro, you got to record this. And I'd set on the opening riff line of that back when I was 25. I just wrote the intro of that song and I never had anything to put with it. And so until then, so fast forward, I I write this song. My friends convince me that you need to record this. So I go and I record this song. I don't have it mastered yet. I don't have a band. I don't have a radio promoter. I don't have anything but this song. I just made an Instagram page.
Yeah.
And I pull up I was working in Fort Smith at the time and I was bored. I'm like, wonder if they got live music. I'm ready to see live music again. And so I get online and I see that Sam Riggs is playing in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I like Sam Riggs
and
I like live music. So I'm going to go check out this show. So I buy a one-way single man ticket to the Fort Smith
we
show.
call those just the Handsome Dans.
Yeah.
Go
The
ahead.
Handsome Dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So buy this ticket and I pull in the parking lot and I was at this point in time, like I'm a guy that's like, I'll go watch a movie by myself.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
totally.
I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Like give me the popcorn and milk duds, the whole thing. Like don't judge me. I'm here to watch a movie.
Yeah.
But for some in particular reason, I was like, man, I don't know. Concert's a little different. Like, should I be doing this, by myself? And I'm like, man, screw it. I haven't seen live music in a while.
Hell yeah.
And so I go and I'm walking into the door and I see this girl and her boyfriend. And we're walking in, or I'm walking in and we just kind of struck up a conversation about parking. She's like, have you seen Sam before? I was like, no. And she looked at me. She's like, you look really familiar. She's like, do you play music? I was like, well, yeah, but I don't think you would.
Yeah.
You probably got me mistaken for somebody.
Right.
And she goes, no. She'd said my name and I was like, yeah, that's me. How do you, I got 212 followers on Instagram. Like, how
She's
do you
like,
know?
I'm number 208.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, well, I grew up, or I
This
played
is awesome.
softball
Yeah.
with a girl. And she told me her name. And I said, I lived next door to her parents for 9 years. She goes, she follows you on Instagram, saw the post. I follow you. I love this song, Hurricane, that you're working on.
This is
I'm
awesome.
like, crazy, like awesome.
That's nuts.
And so
Yeah.
she's like, why don't you, who are you here with? I was like, by myself. She's like, why don't you just come sit with us? I said, deal. So I get up there and the first band that plays was a Huser Brothers and they were freaking awesome.
Mhm.
And then Sam comes on. I'm like, I had no desire to do that at the time. It was just like I recorded Hurricane for me to have so
Right.
that I could like play it in my car.
Yeah.
Or send it to some friends.
Yeah.
And Sam Riggs got on there and it changed my life.
Yep.
I just saw the way that everyone saw COVID. And at that point in time, no one gave a shit because he made people feel like, again, they were in the right place at the right
Yeah.
time. And and let me back up again. Sorry. So before Sam comes on, she's like, you're going to play on that stage.
Yep. That's what I was going to remind you.
And I said, no, probably not. Probably not. She goes, no, I really think you will be. And I said, I'll tell you what, I said, if I ever play on that stage, I said, your tickets will be at will call. And watch Sam play. And I was like, I want to do that. And I left with like a fire lit under me, dude. And I began to work like I landed one of the greatest radio promoter in
Mhm.
Texas. He promotes,
Mhm.
For Miranda,
Everybody.
Cody Johnson, Randy Rogers,
Jinx. He does them all. Yep.
he does them all. And so he got on board with him, released my first single. We made it to 43 out of 200 on the Texas country charts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with Hurricane, and it was something that I just strive for. And I kid you not, a year to the day, I got to open for Sam Riggs at Fort Smith.
That's awesome.
on that
That-
stage. And that girl messaged me and she's like, I told you.
Dude,
That's
I
freaking
told
you have a
awesome.
said-
muse.
Yeah. And I was
You
like,
have a muse.
Yeah.
I'm like, your ticket
Is it will
is a
call?
will call. And she sat right up there. And dude, it was most like there's moments in your career where you're like, that's awesome. Being able to play in front of, a couple thousand people. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
But in this in particular moment,
Dude, she called it.
it was like, when I open for an artist, I hardly ever talk. Like my job is to get you drunk and to have a good time
And introduce the mate. That's right.
Introduce who's coming up.
Yep.
They're not there to see me. They don't care about my music. Right. I want them to like my music.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of that deal, we had one last song left to play and I just couldn't help myself. I said, you know, y'all got time for just a 2-minute story? I'll make this as quick as possible. Like this is one of the coolest moments of my life. And I shared this story and like they went nuts. And I looked over and Sam and the Huser brothers were over there and they're like, hell yeah, bro. And like, dude, those guys don't ever, you know, necessarily always watch the opener.
Yeah.
You know, but like, and after that show, Sam was like the nicest dude in the world. He's like, give me your phone number. He was like, any show you want to play with me, you let me know. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, absolutely, dude. I love your style. Love what you're doing. I love your humility. I love everything that you got going on, man. Like I see a lot of myself in you. And he's like, don't ever be discouraged about
that's awesome.
You're older than a lot of these guys. He's like, you got a good head on your shoulders. The next day he texts me. He's like, I'm serious. Tell me what show you want to play. I told him, I was like, what about the Mule Barn in Justin, Texas? Yeah. He's like, done deal.
Speaking of,
15 minutes later, I get an email from his manager that gives me all the itinerary. We play a sellout show.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's like, and now Saturday,
I was about to say,
we're headlining the Mule Barn.
Yeah.
And
grab that guitar and play Hurricane, man. Let's get this inspiration going.
That is fucking phenomenal.
I told you, isn't it great? It's
man, what a story. And see, I'm the guy that
I don't believe coincidence.
Always wants to go see the opener.
Oh yeah,
because you never know.
Oh, yeah.
Like I always want to be there early.
I mean, I have found more musicians that I love that nobody knew.
Yeah,
and then they got big, and I'm like, cool. I saw them.
I saw them when they opened for. Yeah, that's gonna be the story.
That's what we're gonna say here. A year from now, they're gonna go, he wasn't on your podcast. I go check episode whatever. Blah, blah, blah. All right, we got you. See, this is the first song I heard on my iPhone. Bryson sent it to me. And Bryson was just staring at me the whole time. And I was like, that's odd. Like, just let me listen to the song, But he, he's your biggest fan. Yeah. Huge fan.
So this is a song called Hurricane. It's about evil woman. Ashtray breath, a strong bottle of shine. In 33 years on this broken heart of mine, I spent my last penny on a girl with my last name. I lost count of sleepless nights being strung out on this train, and I've got whiskey running through my veins. And homemade smoke roll dipped in Novocaine, yeah. She's a devil in disguise, makes Johnny Walker Red taste good on ice. Gotta drink all night just to ease his heart and pain. The sirens wail in a flashing light, but that cold hard woman had me dead in the sight. Should've never found love downtown with a honky-tonk flame. You can't wait out a storm, boy, you can't run from a hurricane. Her mama says she's an angel, sent from the Lord. But that halo came straight from hell, made from the devil's heart and thorns. And though it says forgive those who done us wrong, well, I'd crawl in a shallow grave before I ever sang that song. And I've got whiskey running through my veins, and homemade smoke roll dips in Novocaine, yeah. She's a devil in disguise, makes Johnny Walker Red taste good on ice. Gotta drink all night just to ease his heart and pain.
The sun was well in a flashing light, but that cold hard woman had me dead in the sight. Should have never found love downtown with a honky-tonk flame. You can't wait out a storm, boy, you can't run. You can't run from a hurricane. She's a devil in disguise, makes Johnny Walker Red taste good on ice. Gotta drink all night just to ease this heart and pain. The sun was well in a flashing light, but that cold hard woman had me dead in the sight. Should've never found love downtown with a honky-tonk flame. You can't wait out a storm, boy, you can't run. You can't run from a hurricane.
Damn. Nice.
Dude, I think you sound better than the recording.
I appreciate that, man.
No, I'm being dead serious. I like what you're doing with your voice and a couple of those parts there. Yeah.
That is a cool ass story.
Let me tell you about our relationship. So Johnny and I became friends, right? And we started texting and talking about music, about vision. He's just a really cool dude. And so one day he texts me, this subbit, and don't get upset with me, Dan, don't get upset with me. But this dude is on TikTok and on Reels and on this other stuff. And he decides to do the Hush weighted blanket. All right. I'm gonna let you take over in a second.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, but he reaches out to me and goes, "You gotta check this out, man. Tell him what happened." So I've reached out to Hush since then. I'm like, "Do you know I'm the one who brought it? Like Johnny's my guy.
Dude,
come give
so
us some
awesome.
love." So tell him what happened. This is great. This is sleep, by the way. This is great.
I've always thought to myself, like, if I didn't do music, that good?
Yeah.
Cool. I always thought about, like, if I didn't do music, that I would like to give, like, stand-up comedy a try, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, my mom had bought me this weighted blanket for Christmas.
So good.
And 20 pounds, like, heavy.
I think they're beautiful, man.
And it's like, at the time, it wasn't a Hush blanket. The first one wasn't Hush blanket.
Okay.
First one was just a 20-pound weighted blanket. And I didn't really sleep with it first. And I saw it one day. I was like, I'm gonna give this a whirl. And I don't really have anxiety a whole lot. I am pretty uppity up most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they say they're like for anxiety, they help you sleep better.
Mm-hmm.
So I use this weighted blanket. And I remember, usually it takes me a while to like go to sleep because I'm watching TV, I'm watching my shows.
Right.
Porn. Yes. It's like usually it's like 1 or 2 in the morning and I'll finally fall asleep. I put this blanket on me and it's like 9:30. 15 minutes, I'm like, and I'm tired, like really tired. So it's like, I'll wake up here in a minute, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, like had drool, just like sitting on me. I mean, I don't snore, but I knew that I had snored that night because I laid on my back and my throat it hurt so bad. And dude, it took me like 4 days to like wake up from a coma. Like it was the worst thing because I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I need something to do. I've got things. Right. I was like, oh my gosh. So I make this story on TikTok about, tell me about your weighted blanket experience. I tell them mine. I go and I did this at like 6 o'clock at night.
And we got to put this, we'll give a link to this. This is so good.
And I literally wake up the next morning. I have like 12,000 new followers. Like needless to say, like this video's got 500,000 views and
500,000.
This is your Hush blanket.
Not the Hush one yet. This was my story about my don't get a weighted blanket.
Don't get it. Yeah.
Like this is a terrible idea. Don't ever get one unless you have anxiety and you need. Because the house could have been on fire and I would have been like, fuck it, let it burn. And so now the video's got like 2 million views. It had like 200,000 likes, like bunch of shares, and so a lot of these weighted blanket companies would like reach out and they're like, "Can we?
It's ridiculous.
Can we give you like
it's
a weighted blanket?" And I'm like, I say like there was some of them I would get like weren't that great.
And they're great. They're just sending them product.
Yeah. I'm like,
pull it
this
out.
is not. This
Play,
isn't.
play
this
it in
isn't-
the mic.
So
Put on- just
that's
play it in the mic.
true.
so
That's
And
true.
then-
I don't think about stuff like that.
but so finally, Hush.
Screen record it for me too if you can.
Cool.
Such a nerd.
How does that work?
Just pull it down, click screen record, and then
How does Grinder work exactly?
I've never touched it. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, you've
yeah.
touched it, buddy.
Hey, ask me if I've done Grinder.
Hey, Handsome Dan, have you done Grinder?
No.
Yeah, what'd you think about it?
No.
All right, so here's the video. This is
All
the
right.
weighted blanket.
Yeah, play it into the.
Weighted blanket experience.
And a statement. Have you ever slept with a weighted blanket? If you have, please let me know your experience. If you haven't, let me just save you the heartache. Don't fucking do it. Please, just trust me. My sweet mother bought me one for Christmas this year, and I tried it out last night for the first time. 20-pounder. Big, bitch. Big. And I felt like Chrissy Metz. You know that big, beautiful woman on This Is Us? Yes, her. I felt like she had me all swaddled up, just to cuddling me, singing me lullabies, because I slept so damn hard last night. And listen, I don't even snore, but I know I snored last night because that little dangly thing in the back of your throat that Cardi B talks about hurts like a son bitch today. And they say they're for anxiety, but I ain't got anxiety, Mom. Because the house could have been on fire this morning and I'd have been like, fuck it. Let it burn. Let it burn.
So this
That is
goes
so
this
good.
goes on, and finally I get this email, and it's like, hey, we are very high quality weighted blanket. We would love to send you something. No strings
Right.
attached.
Yep.
No nothing. And so I like click on the link, and I'm like, look at all their stuff. I'm like, damn, this is some really nice stuff. Like it's expensive.
Yes, it is.
But you can tell, like, when someone puts time into
Oh,
a
they're good.
website,
They're great. They're a good
their
operation.
marketing is
Yeah.
fantastic.
They're top notch
and
in the
so
sleep world.
I see one that says like iced 2.0, and I hate being hot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Me too.
and so it's like, well, I'll give this one a try. And I told her, I was like, I can just get a person. I was like, she goes, you can pick anything you want. I said, well, I'd like to have the ice 2.0. And she goes, well, what size? I'm like, well, I can just do like the normal size. Like, we have a king size bed, but they send me a freaking king size, like it's $400 or $500 blanket.
Wow.
Man. Like for free, no strings attached. Like I opened it up, put it on my bed. Dude, I'm telling you what, I woke up with icicles hanging from my ball sack the next morning, bro. Like Hush blanket, like is no joke.
Yeah.
Man, I mean,
We'll give them some love on this.
yes,
Tell them.
absolutely. I mean, this is they don't sponsor me. I would love for them to, but they,
We
honest-
also would love for them to
yeah,
sponsor us.
for them
Yes.
too. It's like,
I've
man,
tried. I've tried.
I
They-
mean, the demographic is
the-
right. It's
yes.
right up
they
our
have,
alley.
dude. They have mattresses.
They have everything.
They have those little. My daughter uses those the masks,
Eye masks.
the eye masks. I don't think I could do that, but if your person likes to sleep with an eye mask, like they have that. They have pillows.
No, they have toppers. They have, dude. They are.
everything,
Hush
man,
is a legit company.
And two, they're
And
young.
so he reaches out to me like, maybe I should get in the sleep business. Like he got more fault. Like it's incredible.
But they were.
But I wanted you to share that for two reasons, right? I think that you do have influence. That was funny. It has to do with sleep. So
Yeah.
you would say that having this it changed you. The first time you're like, I don't know, I'm sleeping too much. But dude, maybe you just needed to sleep and you don't know how to respond after sleeping.
Exactly. That for me too, because of the 30, I think it's the 30-pound one that they sent me. But when you think of 30 pounds, like that's pretty heavy. Like you should only do 10%, but that 30 pounds is spread out across the king size bed. So you may be only experiencing 10 pounds
Yeah.
of that 30 pounds. And like it really does for me. It's a super calming effect when and like the thing is, like if I don't want to go to sleep, I don't even touch that thing. Like if I have things to do, like I just don't.
You
But
can look at it.
Yeah.
but if it's like, man, I've got to early, just like last night,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I got to be up at, I need to be up at and leave at 6:30 in
Right.
the morning. I want to watch Last Kingdom, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to throw this blanket on me at, 10 o'clock. And
I love that it's almost magical for you.
Yeah.
Like I
And-
think like when it's like a cape.
It is. It's literally like a potion, bro. It's like,
Dude, I love it.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm out, and I don't ever wake up hot.
Oh,
And that is, to me, that is the most, like, I don't want to feel like I just got through doing a hot yoga session.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like when I
so
use that.
we got the sleep out of the way. I had to share that
Sure.
story. I think it's such great. You got some new music out, brother. You just had a release, and I dig it. I dig the vibe. I dig the merch. I like who's ever doing your publicity. I mean, I'm obviously a big fan. How is the launch going as far as the new single and all that? You just did the Texas Radio Awards ceremony. I know that. Share a little bit about your experience there. You know, I called Bree and I said, look for this guy, man. You got it. Her and Paul.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Of course, Bree won something, of course. Sarah Hobbs was up there and I said, you got to look for my boy. You got to look for my boy. So how was that experience walking the red carpet, doing all that kind of stuff?
It was really cool. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We talked about a little bit about this earlier about pride. You know, people always say like money is going to be the downfall of
Right.
all mankind, but I think pride is one of the things.
Yep.
And so at first I was kind of like, man, this is my first year. Like I just had kind of an attitude of like, man, I don't want to go if I'm not going to be up there, like, accepting the greatest award. Not to that
The
extent,
greatest.
but because, I feel like my story in general, like I feel like I'm the walk-on kid. Like if
Really?
that makes any sense.
Huh.
And I mean that in a way of like a lot of these artists that I love and have grown to love, like they created their fan base like at college station.
So
Stillwater.
you and Cannon are my favorite two artists because y'all started later in
Yeah.
life. You had some experience, like
Yeah.
you had life. It's like, and not that I have nothing against. I mean,
No, it's like it would be
just
just
two
like
different-
if someone had a scholarship to go play football.
right.
It's like that's the path that they chose, and it's no dig against those people. Like good for them. Like if I could go back, I would have done that. I would have
Right.
gone to Stillwater and started Johnny Woods then,
Right.
Yeah.
because I think about like where could I be right now. But my story
Is your story.
is my story, and I feel
Right.
like I feel like I'm the walk-on kid
so,
of Texas.
so you're
country
walking
music.
into this award ceremony thinking that?
Yeah, I'm like,
Okay.
well, nobody really knows who I am yet,
God, I'd love that.
and
Hell yeah.
people are super nice. Met some new friends and things like that.
Yeah.
And as an artist and a songwriter, you see, and I've got to play with a lot of really cool people. Sam Riggs,
Yep.
Randall King,
Yep.
User Brothers, Cody Hibbard, Corey Kent.
Of course, legit.
And it's like these people are just normal people, but when you see the other people like the Bree Bagwells or the Josh Ward
Mhm.
or Zane, Zane, the Wilder Blue, like you're like, or Cleto from
Mhm.
Flatland. It's like, man, like we're in the same place, and like I could like shake your hand, or
Cleo's legit.
It
dude. He's
does.
so normal.
and
Like,
so,
he's just-
but I took away from it of just like, man, we're all Texas country music is a family thing.
it
man.
is.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Yeah.
So
It's not a selfish thing.
let me give you some hope, right? And hope in a good way. Like
Yeah.
Mark Broussard in his own hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana, does okay. But he goes to New York, he sells out like it's crazy. So he's not even in his own place because they've always used to seeing him, right?
Mhm.
Flatland just got paid a lot of money to play a private gig over in New Orleans for this festival that they were raising money for.
Mhm.
My buddy goes, "Hey man, this band's playing this." I go, "Do you realize how big these guys are?" But so it's just weird. It's like sometimes what Texas does uniquely, especially Red Dirt, is that they're freaking loyal here. Like,
They are, bro.
and they are loyal. I mean, Randy Rogers, who I love, met Randy years and years and years ago. He could play the same show, have the same gigs, the same lineup. I mean, he does new stuff, but I'm just saying, and people will still go.
Yeah.
It will be.
Yeah,
And
time.
kids of the parents love the music now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a religion.
Yeah, dude, my dad knows who Randy
I
Rogers
mean,
Well,
is.
they'll
you're
go-
in this area, dude, from here on down, I'm at New Braunfels.
Well, and there's no problem with going and seeing somebody in Austin on Friday, and then the
Yep.
next week you go down to New Braunfels and see him. The next week you go up to
Mhm.
Waco and see him.
Mhm.
Like the fans will do
Yeah.
that. Like people who love your music,
That's
like
so
they just
true.
keep going to see it.
I hate to say this about Oklahoma, but it's a shit market for Red Dirt music.
So what has Cody and them always said? That's why they moved down here. It's
I love like that's the reason. Like, I mean, I love Grady's.
Yeah.
I love Nathan, and I love Grady and those
Good people.
guys. They do it upright,
and
I mean,
they will always be there.
They will. It's like it's a staple. Like if you're wanting, it's one of those places you have to have on your resume.
Yep.
Well,
but other than that, man, it's
I know. And there used to be some really cool
tough market.
I mean, Gypsy Cafe's coming up over in Stillwater. So their festivals are good. The festivals you're right, but there isn't. But listen, man, I try to tell everybody this: nothing's like Green, New Braunfels. Nothing is like it. It's hard to describe.
Yeah,
Austin, and I mean I don't know. I've traveled a lot, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten to see a lot of cool stuff, especially music scenes. This is its own. And you said it best. They could literally play every weekend around, and the same people.
Oh,
they do
you
every
just
time.
keep going, and they'll go because I know because I do it.
Yep.
You know, and I did it in college, and
Yep.
then I moved up to Joplin, Missouri, and I was like, "Fuck, there's no music around here."
Right.
Like I got to go down to Fayetteville, or Fort Smith.
Hey, Arkansas's got a good little thing. They got that
Tulsa, but.
That jaunt, and they do it. It's Fort Smith, Little Rock, down to I mean, there's some good.
And I should say this, like not talking crap about Oklahoma.
Tumbleweeds is still tumbleweeds.
I should say Oklahoma City, like where I'm from, the market is not great. I mean, you get to Stillwater, of course. You've got Tumbleweed. You've got a couple of those places like that, and then, Tulsa, you've got, Kane's Ballroom.
Legendary.
Mercury Lounge. Like
legendary.
Those are places that are great for that genre. And even further south, Ardmore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a different vibe for like when you get down to Texas. I mean, we played Waco, Texas, at the backyard with a buddy of mine, Cody Hibbard. Love that dude. If y'all do not know who Cody Hibbard is, please go check him out.
Yep.
He's the biggest Asian redneck you will ever meet in your life. I mean, he's country as a damn biscuit.
Right.
And I've seen that with his fans. Like we've played with Cody a lot, and his fans follow him around. And
well, what's the last year been like for you? I mean, so we went from going to see your first show out of COVID, and a year later you're
on that
stage opening.
Yeah.
How many places have you been?
Shoot.
How many shows are you doing?
Recording.
Where have you hit up any of these places yet that are like, and maybe what's next?
We got to play. We got to play.
This cat's
Arkansas,
been gigging everywhere. Yeah.
Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, Denver, New Mexico.
How many shows in the last year?
Man, we probably.
Dude, you were averaging at least 3 a week, at least.
We played quite a. I couldn't tell you a number. I mean, we probably played anywhere between 50 to 75 shows. That's just a rough estimate. I mean, we got to play with a lot of some of my heroes, man, and some of the coolest places in the world. Like I got to play Cheatham Street.
Yeah,
like
sweet.
with Corey Kent. And like that was number 2 bucket list for me. My favorite live album was recorded there by William Clark.
What's number 1?
And Billy
bucket
Bob's.
list. Oh, Fort Worth.
I want to play Billy Bob's.
All right.
That's for me. It's just like I don't know.
I know. It's funny because I take it for granted because I lived in Dallas for a while. I was always at Billy Bob's. I saw some really cool people there. I'll tell you, a great venue is Moe's in Katy. It is legendary. And anybody has played there because Mohammed opened that place years ago and it's just built up. Clint Black first played his first gig there. It's in this shopping center and it's so famous. Now it's huge. And think about it, the rodeo always comes to Houston and they love Mohammed. So all these huge stars and it's all the pictures are all over. But Moe's, if you're ever in Katy, Texas, Moe's, M-O', it's the coolest venue ever. Moe's in Katy.
Green Hall would be another one too.
Oh, I knew that was going to be on your list.
I think that's just, but Cheatham Street for me was just,
nostalgic too.
It's a sacred place.
Well, dude,
I feel that way about
Cane's
Green.
is sacred.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just the songwriter that came out of Cheatham Street, and then with Randy Rogers, buying that place and
how much longer are you going to hold on to your day job?
Man, that's a really
well. Let's
good
see if
question.
Hush comes with the money.
Yeah. No, I mean, honest to God, I love my job, man, and I love the people that I work for, and the man that I work for more than anything. I mean, he's such a inspiration to me in my life and everything that
Came
I've
in your
done.
life at the right time. Yeah.
And, he's believed in me from day one. And, I don't know if the oil field is something that I would ever just completely give up. I would always want to have some part in it, but I do want to do this full time. And I believe that if I had the opportunity, and when I do have the opportunity, which I'm hoping, within 6 months to a year that I'll have that, I may not be the next biggest artist, but I want to write, man. I love to write
So
music,
when are you
dude.
moving down to Texas is what Brandon was
Basically,
asking.
yeah.
I'll probably end up staying in Oklahoma for a while, but what I would love to do is be able to come to Texas 1 week out of the month, and 1 week out of the month go to Nashville and just write with as many people as I can.
Man, I think I have a good friend of mine named DL. He's a hell of a musician. Just went on a little fun run with him and Jack Waters, and he lives in Arizona.
Yeah,
and he cracks up. He's like, "You think it's dead in Oklahoma? Like, there's nothing."
Oh, bro, yeah.
So for him to come down and play some gigs down here, and they actually got to play at Saxon, man. It blew him away. And so
isn't it Ray Wiley Hubbard that's at Easy Money in Texas?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, and actually Ray Wiley Hubbard was at the bar and saw them play. And that's a whole cool story. But I think that the joke is, and I said it with Nikki when he was on there, when you move into Texas. Because you have the type of career, and I've been telling people this in Oklahoma for years. The only person I know who's a guaranteed will always have a gig, but will never leave is Jason Breed, because he's a physician. He's great. He's an amazing musician. He's respected. Young will call him. Popular people will call him to come play, right?
Yeah.
But he's happy there, where all these other guys are just musicians. I'm like, just move. You would have. It sounds like I'm selling, but there's these opportunities. I mean, they just opened up 3 new venues down in Green in that area.
Mm-hmm.
With the listing room now. So now there's Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights. There's always something to play.
Yeah.
Right. And two, that there will come a time for that where I'll have to make that decision, because
How old are your kiddos?
I've got a 11-year-old girl and a 7-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, school is obviously important for my kids,
Wait, you let your kids go to school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I shouldn't probably, from what they're teaching me.
I was going to say, they might.
Damn. But, you
Not today.
You got to stay.
Not today.
Yeah, we can go on a rant on that.
Yeah, we could. But no, they're at the perfect age to move. I just need to talk to your wife.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'll just tell her you need to just get down here.
Yeah, that's all right, bro.
We are running up on time, and I do want to get to the new release, and I definitely want you to play it if you're comfortable playing it for us.
Yeah.
The biggest goal for you, Brandon just hit on it. Is it just what? I mean, I thought it was a pretty specific question, but you're like, yeah, well, there's got to be something out there. We talked about how you set these goals and stuff. What is it by the end of this year, which we're coming up on, man?
Next year, 23.
All right,
end of 23.
End of 23. You want to be walking that carpet and win those awards?
Yeah,
there you go.
Definitely, that's one of them. I want to be next year, next awards deal. I want to be nominated for an award. I want to write a song with Adam Hood.
I just saw Adam.
Yep.
Guess where I saw Adam at?
Where?
Again, Green.
Man,
the Cottage. He just played down there.
He's just like,
yeah, he's legit.
I just love his style, love his music. I mean, he's such an incredible songwriter.
Yep.
Man, it's so incredible. I'd love to be able to have, I'd love to be able to have 100,000 Spotify listeners.
Okay. Look at you. You're naming them off right now.
I've got, I definitely have goals and things. I want to,
and a sponsorship from
Hush Blanket sponsorship.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that definitely.
And two, honestly, my goal is to write with multiple people,
right?
That can get on I just want the chance. I need the chance. I need someone to take a chance on me.
I like that. Cool.
And I don't expect anything from anybody, nothing for free. I just want the opportunity to earn other artists' respects. And you got to create those opportunities.
Yeah, you do. So you got to put yourself out there,
and
I think you're doing it. That's pretty awesome. So speaking of Hush Blankets, if you want to get the best sleep you've ever had and wake up with icicles on your balls,
grab your guitar.
Yes.
Look into Hush Blankets, king size, 30-pound. Am I doing good? I don't know what I've
You're
never
horrible
done
at
a
rating, but I don't
Ice
care.
2.0.
Ice 2.0.
Ice 2.0.
Ice 2.0. You
How we're
heard it
gonna
here, Johnny Woods.
how we're gonna end this, Johnny. We're gonna end on this song. So talk us up a little bit of it. Tell us a little bit how to get a hold of you on Instagram, on socials,
Once you have a
Spotify.
mic. Wait for the mic.
And we will end on this after the song. We'll cheers, brother. But damn good to see you, man. You look good. You sound good. And love you, brother. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on this deal. Seriously, it means a lot to me. I appreciate your friendship and the time you guys spent with me today. So you can follow me on, Spotify, Johnny Woods, Instagram. You can follow me on at Johnny Woods Music. Same thing for TikTok. That's probably my biggest platform. I just wish that people would see. I'm like, hey, you fuckers know I write country music too, right?
I'm not just a badass icicle ball.
Yeah, I'm not a
Hush Blanket
pitch
guy.
person.
But this is the new single that just released. It's called Country Queen. This song, I wrote this after one night, and it's like one of those things like you see someone, you ever like walked into a bar or a place and you're like, you see someone in your life and you're like, man, I got to get to know that person.
Yeah.
Like somehow, some way, just got to get to, know, like that's kind of where this song, like, spans from, like as from a male's perspective of like, and I don't care.
Yep.
And we've got a music video, or I've got a music video idea for this song. And I think it's
nice.
Pretty funny, but this is called Country Queen.
Come on.
So. Girl, I done saw you, and girl, you done seen me. I ain't ever been in love, but baby, I could be. How did you get here? And what are you drinking? Is he your man? If not, here's what I'm thinking. We can dance two-step on the floor, shoot tequila, come back for more. We can shut down a sold-out bar if you want to. Got a piece of land in a double wide of County Road 69. Can I bring you home to mama, call you my country queen? I'm Haggard and Jennings, you look a little Aldine. I'm rough around the edge, holes in these blue jeans. You're looking like a fine wine, bottled up in your red boots. Let down your hair, come on, it's time you let it loose. And we can dance two-step on the floor, shoot tequila, come back for more. We can shut down a sold-out bar if you want to. Got a piece of land in a double wide of County Road 69. Can I bring you home to mama, call you my country queen? Brown-eyed country girl, dark hair done up in curls. Them cut-off jeans and boots keep spinning my world. Saddle up, let's go. Saddle up, let's ride. And give me your hand, come on to the countryside. And we can dance two-step on the floor, shoot tequila, come back for more. We can shut down a sold-out bar if you want to. Got a piece of land in a double wide of County Road 69. Can I bring you home to mama, call you my country queen?
God dang it. Johnny Woods, everybody.
Johnny Woods.
Johnny, grab that drink. Get that last shot in there, buddy. Thank you so much for sleeping around.
Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely,
thank you for sleeping around Dr. Brandon Matthew, brother.
Hell yeah.
You the man.
'Cause when the sun goes down and the moon is high, we'll be chasing stars till the morning